Hey, what's up guys? It's Hayden.
Hey, and I'm Emma. Welcome back to our channel. We are talking about The Walking Dead because last week we had the final episode ever. The series finale. After 11 seasons, it has finally wrapped up.
It's been a journey. It's been a trip.
It's been a very, very long journey. And look, it feels kind of bittersweet because, look, we have obviously stuck through to the very end. We've watched all 11 seasons of this show, but we are very aware that a lot of fans did start to drop off around the halfway point. It is well documented that the show did start to drop in ratings, but for a very long time, it was the talk of the town.
It was one of the best shows on TV at one point.
It revolutionized zombie films,
Brought
zombie
horror
shows.
to the mainstream.
Yep. And so it was right up our alley. If you're familiar with our channel, then you know we love horror. This show was just everything for us. And so we did stick to it for all seasons. But I do feel like it did need to come to an end. And I almost feel like it probably could have ended a lot sooner because the ratings did start to drop so much. In saying that though, we did enjoy all the seasons for the most part. But I do feel like the last few seasons, pretty much probably around when Rick and Michonne left the series, was probably when, you know, we started to also lose interest, but we were sticking it out just because I feel like we still wanted some closure.
Yeah.
And like we'd come this far, so I don't know. That's why I'm feeling like it's bittersweet because like it's a show that we did love for so long, but it needed to end. And I guess maybe the topic that we want to talk about today with this show is, did we get the end as fans that we deserved? What do you think?
Look, I think the finale itself, so the final episode of the last season, I think was one of the best episodes we've had in a long time. It definitely brought the emotion. We had a couple of really impactful deaths. Don't worry, I won't spoil anything for those that haven't seen it. I feel like it hit all the beats that it needed to. And I think it gave us the closure that we needed to as well. Now, does it justify the entire series? I think that's probably the bigger question because, you know, a lot of people, you know, that have started to fall off, well, they're going to be asking, well, is it worth it to stick to the end? And look, I think it's yes and no. I think for us, I think it was definitely worth it. I think we needed that closure. We'd follow these characters for so long. We just needed to see where they ended up. And especially for like Rick and Michonne and those like major characters that ended up leaving, but were still alive, we needed to know where they were going to end up. And as we know now, they're going to have a lot of spin-offs, series and movies coming out that are going to extend onto the story, which is really exciting. So yeah, I just think it depends on, I guess, what your relationship is with The Walking Dead. If you're a casual fan, then yeah, maybe it doesn't justify sitting through those couple of rough seasons. But if you're a diehard fan from the beginning, then I think it's definitely worth sticking to the end just to get that closure. And I think it is a very good finale. In terms of the final season, I think it had its moments. I think I was getting a little bit tired of, all right, here's this new community that they're going up against. It just, you know, the same old kind of storyline, and then the zombies were kind of just like the background.
We did kind of see the same kind of formula in every season. It's like they lose one community or home that they've spent all this time and effort building up to then lose it by another bad guy. And every season it was like, it was essentially the same kind of storyline. You had a bad guy with a bad community who were trying to run everything, take over, and it was just sort of that formula every season. And, you know, while obviously every season did have its slight changes, they were all very similar in a way. So, you know, we would just see more favorite characters die off, and we would be introduced to more characters that we would have to get invested in. I think for me, one of the main issues that I had with The Walking Dead overall is, I don't know, I feel like there were a lot of episodes that didn't need to be in there. I don't know, it just kind of hit this point where I wasn't, the new season's
Yeah.
about to start, like so hyped, you know, and we were dying for the next episode because
It was almost like, hey, are you in the mood to watch
Yeah.
Walking Dead? It wasn't like Walking Dead's out, we gotta watch it. Yeah.
it was like we felt like we needed to be in the mood to sit down and watch it. And you know, sometimes we would let, you know, a few episodes come out at a time. We weren't like ready to go every week for the next episode. We were like, oh, we'll catch up in a week or two, because there were characters coming into play that I didn't really care about.
Yeah, and then you'd have like an episode dedicated to their backstory, and it's just
Yeah.
like, who cares? Get back to the main story.
Get back to the main storyline. But the point I was trying to make though, if you are a fan, a diehard fan who is into just the entire realm and world of The Walking Dead, then you probably would get a lot of benefit. And you know, there are probably people out there who love just that extra backstory
Yeah.
of characters. But for us, I think they were sort of the letdowns in the series as a whole. There was so much filler, and I feel like certain seasons dragged on longer than they needed to.
Because I think the main core of this series was the character drama. You know, it wasn't that there was humans against zombies, it was human colonies against other human colonies. You know, it's that if the world ends, are humankind going to get along, or are they going to be at each other's throats for resources? So I was kind of exploring that dynamic, and when that kind of fell short, I feel like the whole series kind of fell short. When that was strong, it was great. Because the one thing that never wavered was the effects, was the zombie effects.
Oh.
Impeccable. Say what you want about The Walking Dead, say what you want about the dodgy seasons, but something that never wavered were the effects. The effects were outstanding, and I've got to give massive props to the effects team.
Yeah.
Amazing job. Some of the best zombies that I have ever seen. Some of the best blood and gore effects in a zombie series I've ever seen.
Some of the best special effects makeup in general that I've ever seen. That is something that I think really has probably kept us invested all this time, is just the high standard and quality of effects that they do put into the show. Even like the CGI, like they don't use it a lot, but when they do, like you can't fault it too much. I feel like they really have made sure that high standard of effects, whether it's practical or CGI, is always high.
Yeah, and they never relied on CGI
No.
that much. They tried to do it practical where they could.
Definitely.
But yeah, so that was always good. But when you are using the zombies as a background and you're focusing on the character drama, you've got to make sure the character drama hits. Because when it doesn't, it's just going to fall apart. And I felt like there was, a few seasons there where it just didn't quite hit the mark with the character drama. I would say probably, what was it, like the first 5 or so seasons were great. I think up until probably the end of the Saviors.
I'd probably say about season 6, because I think Negan, he was really coming into play around season 6 from memory. But yeah.
Because I remember the start of that war, like the Savior War, that was probably like some of the peak Walking Dead for me. Like, I love that. I loved like when Negan first got introduced, that whole scene with the heroes, and I think everyone knows what happens by now. That was some of the peak Walking Dead for me. And then I just felt like the end of that Savior's kind of story arc just didn't quite land for me. I just didn't think it was epic enough. And that was something that I noticed too, is that I don't think they quite landed their series finales in the last few seasons. Except I would say for this overall finale, which I thought they did a good job. But aside from that, I think some of the season finales just fell a bit short.
Yeah, I could agree with that. And I feel like some of the villains towards the end were getting a bit hit and miss. I quite liked the Whisperers. I remember when they first got introduced, we were like, holy shit, can zombies talk now? Can walk? What? And I feel like...
Because we didn't know anything about the graphic novels, so
No.
we didn't know what villains were coming in or what.
No, full disclosure, we haven't read the comics or anything, so we're not familiar with that. But we had no idea that the Whisperers were people, essentially. But that was kind of exciting when we thought, holy shit, the walkers have evolved and they're talking. But I kind of liked, when they were introduced and we got some new characters there.
Yeah,
like
I
with
thought they had
Lydia.
potential too. I mean, there was a couple of like really great moments with the Whisperers, like really creepy moments, and then moments, where some of our favorite characters were killed off, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
But I just, I don't think they lived up to the potential. I thought the ending of that arc was kind of lackluster as well. Yeah, there were a lot of arcs with great potential, but I just don't think they really landed them. And I'm not sure what that is down to, whether it's the writing or what. But yeah, just a couple of those arcs just didn't quite land.
Yeah,
Which is a bit disheartening, especially when you get excited about a new season, you get excited about these new villains, and especially villains that have so much potential like the Whisperers, and they just don't quite utilize them enough.
And as for season 11, yeah, I feel like Pamela Milton, she was a good enough villain, but I feel like for the very last season, I don't know, I kind of wanted some higher stakes. I just remember like the peak villain for me in this whole show is Negan.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's been the strongest villain through the entire series. A close second would probably be, I'd probably say the Governor.
Yeah.
Was he, what, like season 3 or something?
Something like that, yeah.
So, I don't know, to then have, you know, someone like Pamela as our villain.
Yeah, a bit more of a political villain, more
Yeah.
so than a physical presence like a Negan.
Yeah, like it was a good change, but I don't know. I think I wanted someone a bit stronger. And look, yes, we did have her dirtbag of a son. He was he was a real douchebag, and you know he did add some elements of yeah, you really wanted this guy to die. Along with Hornsby, like we did have some of those characters come alongside her, which did help, I guess. But I don't know. Overall, I guess I don't know. I feel like one of the other things that I loved about The Walking Dead was just this sort of grunginess, dirty, post-apocalyptic kind of world. And while yes, you kind of want to see your heroes kind of find the end that they've always wanted and deserved. I don't know, the Commonwealth, just seeing that kind of like old world, I don't know, it was a little too clean. I found some scenarios, some things that they had set up in this community a little bit unbelievable. I'm like, how did they make this? Like, how do these things look like this when, you know, I don't know, factories I assume are still down? How are they making all this really clean armor in like big supply? Like, I don't know, who's making these? There were just
Who's mowing the lawns? That's always the old joke with Walking Dead. Who's mowing the damn lawns? The zombie apocalypse.
It's true. Yeah, you'd just be attracting more walkers.
Right?
I don't know. There were just certain elements to the Commonwealth that I was like, and like all their banners, like these perfectly produced big flags and banners. How are they making these? There's just like certain parts of this community that I'm like, where are you getting this stuff? They're like, I assume there aren't factories making these things anymore. Like,
Probably got their own factories.
where are you getting these supplies? Like, how do you happen to have people who know how to make this stuff flawlessly in big production? I don't know.
And that brings me to another problem that at least I had with it, where you had all these communities within a relatively small vicinity to each other. You know, they were able to go by, you know, horseback or motorcycle or cart to these different communities. And yet you would think that they would bump into them somewhere along the journey, not just in like season 11. Know what I mean? Like, if the Commonwealth's hanging around all this time, surely they've bumped into them by then, right? It just seemed, it was like a little bit too convenient that they were like running into all these different communities that they haven't met before. And yeah, I mean, it's a zombie apocalypse, right? Like, it's only meant to be like a small band of survivors. At least that's how it kind of started off, but then they just kept on introducing more and more people, more and more communities. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, it's a fantasy show. You've probably got to, you know, suspend your disbelief.
Yeah.
Is that the saying? To enjoy it. You know, there's going to be some plot holes, but I guess you got to just put them aside just so that you can move forward with the story and enjoy it. But yeah, I don't know. Look, okay, I feel like we're getting a little bit off track here. So, season 11. Let's talk about the season finale. What do you think? Like, do you think it got wrapped up in a way that we were expecting, that we were hoping for, after sticking with this show as long as we did?
I think so. As I said, I think it's one of the best episodes we've had in a while, and it hit all the beats that I wanted it to. Like, it was intense when it needed to be, it was emotional when it needed to be. You know, the practical effects were on point as always. So I think it was a great episode. Yeah, but just not quite sure if it was enough to save just like the last few seasons where they seemed to be dragging on a little bit. But yeah, I think it's a fitting finale.
Yeah, look, I think overall the season finale was really good. They did have me worried for a little while there. Actually, even in the second last episode, I remember saying to you, like, I feel like there is so much they still need to touch on. And I feel like they're running out of time. Like, is this season finale, series finale going to feel rushed? Like, I just feel like there was so much to mush in that time slot. So they did have me a bit worried, and even halfway through the last episode, I was like, oh God, where are they going? Because I still feel like there's so much to reveal and explain, you know? But thankfully, it did all come together and wrap up nicely in a bow.
Yeah. While also leaving room for the extended universe stuff.
Yes, because as we know, or most of us know, there are going to be a lot of spin-off shows. We're going to be seeing shows following Daryl, Rick and Michonne,
Maggie and Negan.
So,
unlikely combination there.
Yeah, although one that is a story that I would be very interested to see unfold. I have to say, and I'm sorry, if you're watching this, I'm sure you're up to date with majority of the seasons, but I feel like we're gonna have to start talking some spoilers. So look, if you haven't seen season 11 or the series finale or any of the previous seasons, just stop watching. But I need to start talking about spoilers. I was kind of hoping that we were going to see Rick and Michonne a lot sooner.
Yeah.
I was really hoping in these last few seasons, and in this last season especially, I was really hoping that they were going to bring them back. But I can see now that, you know, they are saving it for the spin-offs.
Yeah, they're not going to give us too much too soon. They want to, you know, give us something to look forward to.
Yeah. But I have to say, I was glad that they at least acknowledged them at the very end of the episode. I'm glad that we did see a bit of a teaser of what's to come. So I got to say, if we didn't get that last little bit at the end with Rick and Michonne, I think that would have probably broken the series finale for me.
Ooh,
It was a good wrap up, but I would have been really disappointed if I didn't see anything of them, if they didn't acknowledge any, because otherwise, just looking at it as a series alone, that's so many things unanswered there.
Yeah,
you know, the last we saw of Rick, he was flying off in a helicopter. We haven't discussed like where these helicopters are coming from yet.
And also, Rick's our main protagonist through this entire thing. We start with Rick, following this journey through Rick, and so it only makes sense to end with Rick as well.
Yeah, and actually, just on that, just sort of tying up nicely with beginning and ends, I did kind of like how this season finale kind of played homage to the very first episode in season 1, where Daryl was in the hospital with Rick's daughter, and I feel like, because we remember like Rick woke up in a hospital when the series first started, so I thought that was kind of a nice little 360 that they did, and there were a few little things like that. I just want to quickly mention, I thought it was really cool that Greg Nicotero made a little cameo in the last episode too as a zombie. I thought, I was like, as soon as I saw him, like that long hair, it's so iconic now. I was like, oh my god, it's Greg! Look at him go as a zombie. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, look, I think overall it was a really solid episode. I'm glad that they touched on Rick and Michonne. We had some really, really heartbreaking moments, losing some characters. Spoiler alert, we lost Luke and Rosita. That was so heartbreaking. I have to say, I think I cried the most whenever Eugene was...
Eugene
always got me, I have to say.
Good actor. Really good actor.
He was very good. You know, he was quite the emotional character through all of the seasons. But that last episode was like, when he was having to say goodbye to Rosita, that just broke me. I was in tears. But then also watching the girls around Luke, you know, oh, what a painful way to go.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But that was so heartbreaking, seeing all the girls just like around him sobbing and oh.
My favourite stuff was Papa Daryl.
Yes.
Papa Daryl looking after Judith.
Judith, yes. I think Daryl's come such a long way through the whole series. You know, he's always been that tough guy, but towards the end when he had to sort of step up and play Papa Daryl, be that dad figure for Judith and some of the other kids too, that was pretty wholesome. It was kind of nice to see him come all that way.
Easily the best character in Walking Dead.
Oh man, even till the very end we were like, if Daryl dies we riot. But obviously, as we know, there is going to be a Daryl spin-off.
Yeah, keen for that.
And I've heard he goes to Paris?
What?
Okay, hopefully they touch on how he gets there, because clearly we know he only travels by motorbike, and it's not like he can get from America to Paris on a motorbike. Like,
Trades it in for a jet ski.
how does... Anyway. Very interested to see how that all plays out, how he gets from there to there. And yeah, I have to say, I'm very excited for all these other spin-offs. And, you know, I just hope that these spin-offs don't really kill this franchise. You know, when you get too much of a good thing, it could kind of taint it a bit.
And I feel like we've already been getting that, because there's like Fear the Walking Dead, and there's already spin-offs of The Walking Dead that have kind of been flopping. So, it'll be interesting.
I just hope that these spin-offs that are coming are going to reignite the Walking Dead franchise. And I hope we start to see... Well, I guess because we're going to be following main characters at least.
Flagship characters of the franchise. Yeah.
I hope that we're going to see kind of original Walking Dead vibes that we fell in love with. I hope that we have some high stakes again. There's so many questions that need to be answered that I'm sure they're going to touch on in these spin-offs. That's what I hope for at least. So anyway, I feel like this has been a fairly rambly
like most of our
video.
conversations are when it comes to movies or television shows.
So I'm feeling like we should probably wrap it up here. We could just ramble
We're good.
on and on and on about The Walking Dead. Look, I think to tie this off in a nice little bow, The Walking Dead will forever still be one of our all-time favourite shows. Yes, it started to die a little bit for us towards the end, but we hung on. I think we got the final episode we deserved. I think season 11, it had its moments, and I think it did wrap up nicely. So yes, I'm happy with how it ended. I will definitely rewatch this show again. I'm going to leave it for probably another year or two, because I need to like erase big moments from my memory so that it'll be a shock for me again. But I think, I'm not going to write The Walking Dead off just yet, and I'm excited to see what else is to come.
Absolutely. Well, as always, make sure you let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and do all that YouTube stuff as well. Slam that like button if you like what we do. Hit the bell for the notifications to be notified of what we got coming up next. Subscribe to our channel and become part of the Headspace Films community. Most importantly of all, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.
See ya.